And we're live. This is New Comic Book Day Book Club Season 3, starting now, right now. This is Season 3 of New Comic Book Day Book Club. You don't know what shenanigans are going to happen. We left you with some exciting cliffhangers, as we actually revealed to you last time at the end of the season. We actually liked some comic books last year. Holy crap.
Yeah, it was a surprise to even me, who wrote my own list for books I liked.
Even more exciting, we actually have a guest tonight. Someone who wanted to hang out with us and hear us crap on books all night. Andy, Comic Man Andy. How you doing?
Who's the guest? I can't wait to meet him.
We had a guest last week. It was just impromptu.
I guess he's not here, so you'll have to hang out instead.
Okay, I can wait.
How was New Comic Book Day for everybody?
It was okay. I didn't actually go to the shop last week because we were doing our anniversary show, so I didn't need to pick up any books. So it was slightly bigger week for me because it was 2 weeks. But
double week. How about you, Andy? You had a pretty good haul. He dropped a video today showing what he got. So check it out.
I was stoked. Last week, one of my Something is Killing the Children's variants got delayed because all of the 1 in 25s showed up damaged to my LCS. And surprisingly, the replacements were back within a week.
That's awesome.
It's almost like they planned on that. I don't know. Either way, between that, because that's the Jenny Frizen black and white sketch looking cover.
Yeah, I saw that.
That on top of Last Ronin.
You got some good indie gold.
Yeah.
As we know from last week, talking about Last Ronin, it was shorted by about 20%. And I didn't get to go to the shop until after I got out of work and got the last copy in the store. So just in time for the program this evening.
I know a friend named Just in Case. So just in time, just in case.
Just incredible.
Let's jump into this chat here and say hello to some friends like Ruben Guzman, former California homie, now Oregon homie. I hope things are doing well in the Pacific Northwest. Oh, TK's Batcave, hashtag free TK. He has been banned from live streaming on YouTube.
Oh no, what happened?
Great.
It was just he played the leaked footage from something live in one of his live streams and got hit with it. That's how I understand it. If I'm wrong, TK, I'm sorry. But yeah, free TK. I hear he's joined over onto Twitch. So if you want to watch him live stream, you can go over to Twitch and catch TK over there. Todd Christian, how you doing? PJ King, hello to you. The Boy Wed 7. I'm going to be on his channel Friday night for a very exciting Halloween edition of Comic Gories.
Me too.
Yes.
I didn't know that. Actually,
I was literally just talking about that.
Yeah, just a few minutes ago. Hey, Kevin, another SoCal homie. Hello, Kevin. And let's see. Do I get everybody? I think I got everybody. Free TK. Yeah, we need a free TK. So tonight for book club, we are definitely, like Andy said, we're talking Last Ronin here. Everybody got cover A, right? We're all good with cover A. So we'll be definitely breaking down TMNT's Last Ronin. I also conned everybody into reading GIGA #1 from Vault, just because it's fun to give those indie #1s a shot. And I was definitely intrigued by this kind of fun Marvel homage cover here.
Yeah, I almost went for that because, like, at first glance, I was like, "Oh, that's really cool," because it looks like Shogun Warriors #1, kind of.
Yeah, totally.
But then I realized I didn't really like the actual artwork that much. I like the artwork on the cover A better, so I just got it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see both sides for sure.
Made me think of ROM #1 when I saw it.
Right? Yeah, that too.
Definitely. Hello. Oh, sorry. Hello, Perry. Good to see you, Perry. How you doing, man?
5 copies, I assume, of Last Ronin, not of GIGA.
Yes. Perry, I know, was having trouble finding a copy of Last Ronin, and I believe Rod might have hooked him up with that. So hopefully that worked out.
Nice.
You, bud. He got 5 copies, working on 6 for Last Ronin. Damn. Ruben Guzman going that spec alert We are not usually a spec show so much as just a did we like the read, did we enjoy it show. So we'll break down some of that Last Ronin in all different aspects. Hello, Art Chemist. Love the. Is that a new design graphic there? I dig it. Digging it. And hello, Patrick Wall.
Says what's shaking? James Bond's martinis.
There we go.
Sorry, a little carryover from the last show. I apologize.
There we go. Some comic gold for you. So let's roundtable. Let's run this around the corner here a little bit, and everybody can give a score for TMNT Last Ronin. Alec, what did you think? If you were going to give it an out of 10, where would it land for you?
So immediately it lost a point for the size of the book. Like, I don't mind large format books, but this was a very odd large format. So it wasn't like magazine size. It wasn't golden age size. Like, there's no real like handy bag and board you can use for this.
I was going to bitch about that as well.
So that bothered me.
Okay.
But that is just a little annoyance. For the most part, like, I enjoyed it pretty well. I felt like it didn't do what I was worried it was going to do, which was like spend the whole half of the book establishing this new future. It kind of just threw you into it, which I liked. I felt like the end twist was like, I don't know. We can talk about it, but it didn't really do it for me.
Okay.
But overall, I enjoyed it well enough. I would say like a 7 to 7.5.
And Andy's going to go through a bunch of it tonight, but again, I can't recommend enough his video from earlier today, and you can hear it more from Andy. And I put the link to his channel down below. But Andy, let's hear your soup to nuts breakdown real quick of Last Ronin.
Oh man, wow. So 2 delays. I think I pre-ordered my copies, but well before the first delay.
Wow.
And at one point I had to call my LCS. I'm like, hey, I ordered these so long ago. You guys didn't forget, right? Because now I'm hearing all of this talk about stuff getting cut, like numbers getting cut. As far as the book and its size, I'm with Alec a bit, but DC kind of broke my cherry with the prestige format that I finally gave in and got the Killer Smile or whatever it was. And I broke down. I was like, okay, I got to find something for this. And then I found I had a magazine folio that stored those, half a dozen books perfectly. So I still have room in that magazine folio for this run of Last Ronin if I don't buy too many covers. But a friend of mine in another chat reminded me that these will fit perfectly in CGC cardboard boxes as well. If you get the magazine bags and boards,
yeah,
they'll fit perfectly in the CGC boxes too.
Yeah, my gripe is more so that, like, hold that back up. Like, it fits nicely top to bottom, but left to right, like, there's just so much extra space there. It's a little bastard child that doesn't have a home.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't ship the books in these at all without making some sort of modifications. So the size of the book, I do kind of want to dock that a little bit, but I mean, if we're grading up to 10, I'm glad they went back and redid the art. I'm kind of in love with the art in this book. Like, me and Seawater 19 were talking about this earlier today. I'm with Alec. I like how they drop him right into the universe, right into the story, and we're going right there. Without getting too spoilery, from the first 2 pages, I had already figured it out haphazardly. I'd made a solid guess, and my guess wasn't wrong unless there's a plot twist beyond the first book.
Yeah.
And John, you were telling me a little bit how you felt about that. You'll get to there, and I was kind of like, you're not wrong, but man, maybe I just looked at it from a very different perspective at the moment. I think I'll give this book I think I got to go with a solid 9.2 to start. It's not perfect by any means, but it's Turtles, which has been nuclearly hot lately, and it's different enough to stand out, and it's indie.
Right.
So
I mean, you have to keep in mind a 7.5 for me is like pretty decent.
It's not. He's not going to crap too much on it. So I'm going to say hello to some other people in the chat real quick. Ryan, the new guy, is here. Thanks for coming, Ryan. Seawood dropped his turtle emoji, rolling around in here. Biggie Shack says, "Is this the greatest book ever created? Fingers crossed." Well, it's not Silver Age.
So it's got a chance.
Derek Magnus, is here. Hello, Derek. Dave Enrique is here. He says, "I like that the size harkens back to the original #1, which did have a slightly different size for sure." Seawood says he just cut the magazine board, but then I feel like it's really loose in there, right? Isn't it going to slide all around?
He's using Golden Age stuff, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I have a Golden Age bag and board that looks like this.
I think he took a Golden Age bag and cut down a magazine board to fit to the top.
Okay. Well, so there, I definitely would need a different board for this magazine bag. But I liked Gore Vidal's comment here. He was talking about shops being sold out and another shop saying that they're marking it up for $20. Is it worth it? And well, my first comment would be the book is already $10 almost. It's not. It's $8.99 cover price. So it's not like the markup is not insane at this point, but I would say that if you can spend a little time searching, because you might be able to find a cover price copy.
Yeah, I mean, if you've hit up all of the shops within a reasonable driving distance, paying $20 shipped on eBay is not like the worst, but I wouldn't go more than that. But and
if you can get it for $20 without the shipping, you're basically out the waiting.
Right.
Yeah, it's like my LCS. I paid $7.19. For my cover A, because I get 20% discount as a club member. Yeah, Gore's right. Shops were selling out. My shop had maybe 10 copies left 30 minutes after they opened.
Yeah. And
I know they got their allocation cut, but they got all of their variants. So my understanding is that let's say they randomly ordered 100 copies, but they only got 60. They still got all of the 1 in 10s and all of the 1 in 25s as if they received 100.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I know my shop got a fairly large stack on Tuesday, and by 6 o'clock, there was one left. So people are buying them, that's for sure.
Absolutely. TJ says it'll look great in a slab. So there you go.
Not wrong.
Hello to Bear Island Comics. He's here. Tell me it's Clint Barton. It's got to be Clint Barton. There you go. It's Trent. I already spoiled it. Bearded Comic Bro. Hello to you. We are talking Last Ronin. He folded the plastic bag and taped it in place. So he used a magazine size bag and board and then adjusted the size of that to fit more accurately. Hello, Lost in Comics. Good to see you here. So it was not Jenica. It was definitely a dude.
I thought for a second, like before I read it, I did have that thought of like, oh God, this better not be some shtick like that.
So for me, like I would say I would put this in the 7.5-8 range. My main gripe, and we can talk about the size again in a little bit if we want, but my main gripe is that I didn't feel like they took any risks. And I was kind of like hoping for some real creativity. And I felt like there was a lack of it. It just was really simple, not very complicated, not much really going on here. And the whole thing was one long chase with a reveal that I was like, okay. So for me, it didn't amount to a whole heck of a lot. I was hoping for them to take more risks. And one of the risks I was really hoping for was that they would never tell us in the whole run who this turtle was. That was the one, like I wanted them to just lay their balls on the table and go for this and be like, you know what? Doesn't matter which one it is. We're just going to tell a really cool story and maybe you can figure it out for yourself based on how we write it, but we're not going to spell it out for you. And I was hoping for that.
Spoiler alert, on the last page, they spell it out for you.
And I legitimately said in my pull list video, hey, are they going to tell us in the first issue? And I said, no way. It's issue #1. They'll never tell you. Because I was like, why would anybody be so stupid? Well, they did. So I mean, so again, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I do want to read more because I do want to see more of it. So again, it would probably be in that 7.5-8 range for me. The size does bug me. a little bit, just because, again, like, yeah, it's the awkward stepchild. I just I wish it had fit a little better, and I wish it like was easier. Andy mentioned this a bunch. I wish it was easier to read it without just completely ruining the spine, because it's this nice card stock, really glossy stuff. And they have writing right into the crack of every page. To really read it accurately, you've got to really just open it, and it's hard to avoid any damage to it.
I mean, I agree the not taking a risk thing, because it's about, I mean, a turtle, but the turtles fighting against the Foot Clan, who are kind of like running a shady section of town, with a shredder, for lack of a better term, leading the bad guys. So yeah, it's not like, I did kind of expect something a bit, from a plot standpoint, a little bit different. It is issue 1. Who knows where they're going to go with it? But I mean, I felt like it was executed well enough that I couldn't hate it, but it wasn't. Yeah. It didn't blow my mind.
And I think maybe also there's an element of expectation of what I wanted versus what they were giving me, and I've got to reevaluate that. I've reread it, I think, 2 times, so I've read it a total of 3 times already, just to make sure like what my expectations were versus the reality. Obviously, I wanted Old Man Hawkeye with a turtle. Like, that's what I really wanted, was that kind of a story. And that was not really this. I felt like this was definitely something slightly different. In fact, the issue didn't really have a ton of story. It was just kind of like this chase sequence and then a quick reveal at the end.
I wanted like a dark Usagi Yojimbo, where just the last turtle is kind of like roaming the land, helping people, or like, fighting crime along the way, and trying to just like,
that would be cool,
kind of not run from his past, but kind of, avoid what he is, the pain that is whatever happened.
And then he's got a journey to face it in the end, kind of like Old Man Logan or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope maybe they even pull a little 90s-esque prequel or issue 0 where they kind of do that leads up into this issue 1, because that would actually be pretty sweet.
I love Bearded comment. He said, "Is this the first time John Whale would rate a book higher than me?"
What would you rate it?
Yeah, drop your rating in the chat, man. I thought we were going to get the reveal at the end of the 2nd issue. That would be a more common trope. I think there's a lot of ways they could have gone with it, for sure. I feel there's going to be a ton of parallels to Dark Knight Returns. That girl Ronin meets toward the end will be a Carrie Kelly. I got that vibe too, Seawood, for sure. That girl who's the motorcycle he steals.
And, I mean, can we talk about the ending? I don't know if you want to fully spoil it, but
yeah, I mean, we could get there. Do we want to talk about the story in general before we get to that?
Sure, that's fine. Yeah, you can do a little rundown.
Yeah, the plot basically starts with a turtle crossing through the sludgy waters to get to island of Manhattan, and he's talking to the sort of ghostly images of the other 3 turtles as he's going through his journey. And we hear the banter between them all as he re-enters this post-apocalyptic, futuristic Manhattan that is sort of it's walled all the way around, and yet also has this sort of beacon of civilization in the center, where it's got like lights coming off of it. It looks like a temple mixed with a high rise, mixed with a shopping mall, some kind of crazy design. And our character, our turtle, is trying to find, the whole story is really just him trying to get to the top of that tower to defeat somebody. And that's the villain character. As he's getting through the city, he's stealing motorcycles and fighting robot police and, evading these criminals and sneaking underneath and climbing walls. And, there's a lot of, it's one epic chase that ends kind of in failure. Spoiler alert, he does not kill the bad guy in the first issue, and then is severely injured, and in the end is rescued from committing seppuku by a young girl who takes him to April O'Neil. And that's the end of that's pretty much it. There's no, again, it's not complicated. It's not very much here. It's just a ton of action and chase. This whole like It almost legitimately felt like a video game to me, where he's got to get to the next level, and then he's got to get to the next level, and then he's got to beat this boss and get to that next level. And then, of course, he loses the game and has to go back to ground zero.
I half wonder if it was concocted for that purpose. I didn't have very high expectations going. In fact, I made no expectations going into this. I had a blank slate going into this. Even after C. Woodard and I doing Turtle Tuesdays and reading the IWD runs, I separated myself, and I wanted to experience this with no pre-notions or no thoughts ahead of time. So I went in on this, and maybe that's why my score was a little bit higher. I was born in the 80s, but I wholeheartedly grew up in the 90s with the Turtles, with the video games and everything else, and the action flicks of the 90s, where I didn't need a lot of meat on the bones if they were throwing a lot of fash bang and whoosh and swaps at me. And I was like, oh, wow, that's kind of neat. And I got done with the book. And I was like, yeah, that was cool. And then I hear you guys talking. It's like, God, yeah, I missed out on a ton of points that I probably should have thought about.
No, and I mean, I don't want you to fall. I mean, I know that we get burned for like ruining comics that people love, and I don't want that to be the case here. If you like it, you should love it. Like
it's not gonna. Those opinions aren't your opinions aren't gonna make me not love the comic book and not still enjoy the comic book. It's another perspective that makes me think of the extra layers or depths that I may have missed out on. And why I really appreciate being a part of reading shows like this, because how do you ever fully understand a diamond unless you have your friends help you point out the other facets? I mean,
does that make us a gemologist, or are we the diamond in this?
If we're diamonds, I'm definitely in the rough. So,
hello to Hoodat, another Turtle fan who came by. He said he could not get to his LCS because of a hurricane. His power just came back on. Stay safe, brother. Gore says he read the new Last God one-shot, which is my read of the week. That's a great one-shot. But just know that the writer and artist for that one-shot are not the usual ones on Last God. So it's actually not Riccardo Federici, who is amazing as well. But I'm glad you really enjoyed it. Bearded says 6.5 to 7. He's agreeing with the opinions. He wanted a darker story. But I think there is an element of expectation versus reality that has to be balanced here. And I know that there's definitely been movies that I judged one way or the other, and then on rewatching, I was able to appreciate because I got rid of my expectations and focused on the product that was being delivered.
And just coming from the IDW run with Carson, it seemed really dark. That's all I wanted to say.
I haven't read, and again, I haven't read Turtles. I think I was telling the Boyode 7 today. I haven't read Turtles since the 90s when I was reading TMNT Adventures or whatever. I was legitimately getting that off the rack every month. Like, I loved TMNT Adventures, but I have not read since then. So this is my first like more modern TMNT in a very long time. Hello, Pixels and Pens. You want to hear us shit on comics? Well, you came
to the right place.
Welcome in.
So to kind of mention two of my gripes, one of which being when he falls out of the building and he's like, oh no, I'm falling, not like, I don't want it to end this way, whatever. And then he just straight up hits the ground and they explain it away by saying, I'm still somehow alive. Like, why didn't they have him do something like super cool and ninja-y to break his fall a little bit and still have him be just as injured? I thought that was a real missed opportunity for him to do something awesome, like, loop nunchucks around a flagpole or something that just like slowed him down enough where he didn't die from falling out of a multi-story building.
Radioactive hamsters are awesome. I think there are several little moments that I had issue with like that. One was for me was I know Alec was saying he liked that they didn't spend a lot of time on the future and the city and how it got to the place where it is. But I had a lot of questions and confusions about it because I felt like he was inside, then he was outside, then he was inside, then he was outside. Like I couldn't make sense of where he was. It was like he broke into one place and I thought, okay, now he's inside. But then it was like inside was almost like a terrarium because it was like there were windows and there was like streets. And I'm like, wait, is he inside of a building and there's streets inside this building now? And it kept having phases of that where I was like, okay, now he's on top of a car flying. So he's clearly outside. but then the next shot would be like, okay, there's a ceiling. Like I had a lot of issues understanding things spatially.
Yeah. I think like I agree with Andy that I really liked the artwork as far as stylistically and just a visual look on the page, but I think that was kind of a failure of the artist, because it did kind of lose some of that clarity at certain points for me. So I agree with that like just from like panel to panel figuring out.
I mean, just spatially, I think I would have liked some shots that let me understand the layout a little more. I didn't need like explanation into how the city got to this place or whatever, but like there were definitely times when I couldn't tell where he was. And the last panel looked like he might have been inside, but now this panel looks like he's outside, and then back and forth. And I guess it's just like, just hold on and go for the ride. But part of me was like, I just want to understand where I am in the world. This seems like jump cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I like issues saying the Last Ronin Shredder wearing a turtle costume. There you
go. My other kind of like confusing moment was at the end where we see this girl who's named Jones, right?
Yeah, whose motorcycle he stole. Yeah.
Who kind of like follows him down into the sewers after he falls out of the building and kind of sees him about to commit seppuku and saves him and brings him somewhere. And then all of a sudden he wakes up to a different woman who we're not, I mean, we know who it is because of turtle lore, but like, we're not introduced to her.
She's still wearing the same yellow jumpsuit.
Yeah, we're not introduced to her visually. We don't see her like handing off from the, like, Jones just disappears and all of a sudden April is there.
Yeah.
I just felt that was a little jarring. I felt like it needed some sort of bridge, like even if she was also in the room, to be like, okay, yes, she did bring him there.
I definitely got that vibe.
Yeah,
this was Casey and April's daughter.
When it said Jones, I was like, okay, she has to be somehow connected.
Right. Yeah.
It
seemed like a huge coincidence that he happened to steal her motorcycle and that she happened to find him at the end and rescue him. But yeah, it does seem like that's who they're setting up for sure. Old man, I wanted old man turtle journeying. That's definitely what I had hoped for a little bit, and that was definitely not what they seem to be giving us here. I want to talk about something I really liked that I was mentioning to Andy before we went live, and I want to hear some of Andy's thoughts on it. One of the things I really liked and really enjoyed was the way they write the various turtles talking to each other. Because what I was telling Andy was I got a very strong vibe for who this turtle was based solely on the skill of the dialogue writing. I could eliminate turtles based on the dialogue. So there was a comment made at one point that I thought, oh, that sounds very technological. That sounds like Donatello is one of the 3 dead ones. And in my head, I was just making these assumptions because of what the turtle in the conversation was saying. Oh, we could hack in and wire this. And then our living turtle, the Ronin, says something like, yeah, we don't have time for that. And I was like, see, that's not Donatello. Donatello would make the time. And there were little moments like that I thought were well enough written that and what I wanted was them not to tell us. But I felt like they didn't tell us, and I was still able to kind of figure it out all the way to the end. I had made a guess based on the writing. And I think that's a huge compliment to the dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're not going to spoil it.
We will definitely spoil it, so I'm sorry for those but I mean, we will definitely get to a point where we spoil it. I eliminated one choice.
I'm going to somewhat spoil it by saying it is, you mentioned earlier about not taking risks. It is the least surprising option for me, for who it was.
Least surprising. See, if you have to say because, then you're going to give it away. But Andy, what did you think about the dialogue between the 4 turtles? Although admittedly, it's all happening in one turtle's head. What did you think about the way they used that device?
I did not catch on to that like you did. Page 1 or page 2, I'm looking at this and I see the dialogue. They do a very good job of those word bubbles trailing off behind or out of scene. And I'm like, not picking up on it. The book's called Last Ronin, and I'm not picking up on it just yet. And then by page 2, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm picking up on it now, finally. I was so overly geeked and excited like an 8-year-old in a candy store. And I read everything so fast. I never really picked up on the dialogue aspect of that. And I was so focused on the weapons he was carrying, because that's something that we've been talking about for months now, based off the cover of the ash can, about determining who it could be. And he's carrying all of these weapons. And so every panel I'm focused on, well, what's he carrying? And my guess and an assumption, I don't want to go too far into it yet, but
did you feel like you guessed correctly?
Yeah, I think I did. And
that's what Issue said. Pre-book release, the majority of people who guessed were guessing correctly in his estimation.
And we'll get back to that later when you're prepared for that. I kind of wish I would have picked up on the dialogue, though, because that adds a little bit more meat. That adds another layer to it. So when I go back and read it a 4th and 5th time, I'm definitely going to be pacing myself a lot more as I read this, because I was totally like, oh, man, look at how nasty and how polluted everything is. And I was totally buying in on it. And there's the bridge in the background. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, I was just getting really wowed. I was very kid in a candy store-esque getting into this book, and I was amped to read it a couple of times before I went and did my new comic book day show this morning, and then I read it another time or two after, but I was reading and watching everybody else get all of their content hitting, so I really actually wasn't paying attention as well as I should have.
He says,
I just like the pictures.
Hey, I get that. So do we want to get into art or plot or ending? Where are you at right now, guys?
I mean,
because we haven't talked about the bad guy. We haven't talked about the plot, which seems to center around the bad guy and a very Western revenge story kind of thing. A very Clint Eastwoody kind of thing.
So this is not really a spoiler because it's in the middle of the issue. I mean, I guess everything is a spoiler if you haven't read it. But the bad guy is Shredder's grandson. And he has his mother in some sort of cryo tube suspended animation thing. So off the bat, he's not as cool as Shredder. Not just because he doesn't look awesome, because he doesn't have Shredder's armor, but he's kind of a whiny mama's boy. He's not this cool ninja. He's just this guy who's yelling at people to send more robots to defeat the intruder.
It reminded me, I mean, to a lesser extent, but it totally reminded me of the bad guy from Little Bird, right? Sending the troops out to find the little girl.
Yeah. And I mean, hopefully that, there will be a showdown at some point, and we'll see that this guy is a badass martial artist, and they'll have a cool fight at some point. But he didn't really grab me as being I hate to say likable villain, but Shredder is a likable villain. You don't like him and root for him, but you like him because he's awesome.
Yeah, you want a hero villain connection that is you feel like it's a challenge for the hero. And this guy feels like if they ever were in a room together, he wouldn't stand a chance.
And you want a villain to be threatening.
Yeah, and be able to follow through on the threat of I could defeat you.
Yeah.
What do you think of this villain, Andy?
I couldn't get past the Crow vibes in the middle of the book. I mean, his command center, if you will, was flooded with crows for some reason.
Yeah.
So I immediately went to the Crow. And my head got stuck there for some reason. He's long, dark, black hair, and I'm tall, thin build, and I'm just there's even one of the scenes where it's you're looking from behind the character out into the city, and I'm Kind of looks like the Crow. And oh man, he was kind of uninteresting at the start, and I was fighting the thought process in my head when I was reading this. I was like, well, wasn't his mom Shredder's granddaughter in the IWD run? So wouldn't he be Shredder's great grandson? So I kept fighting that, like the details, which I probably shouldn't have, because it really didn't matter in the end.
I was curious if this character had ever been in a comic before. My assumption was this was the first appearance or whatever.
Well, his mom is or was potentially fighting for a spot as a Chunin for Shredder's Foot Clan in the IWD run in volume 4, 5, and 6.
So that's his mom.
That's his mom, and I could have sworn that Shredder calls her his granddaughter a couple of times. I got to go back and read
that can't be possible from a timeline perspective because that's 2 generations. So that would make April like 120 years old.
I'm an idiot. That's fine. I can't.
No, I mean I'm not sure either way, but like if that is the case, then they kind of messed up.
Someone was asking earlier how this compares size-wise with the ash can. The ash can is bigger. So the ash can I've got in the background here, and it's about a finger's width taller and a finger's width wider. Out of
curiosity, John.
Yeah.
If you're interested, I would be curious to see what the difference is in the art, page 1 to page 1.
Obviously the covers are different.
From the ash can to cover A today, I think they delayed twice and redid the art at least once, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I mean the cover art is pretty different. The turtle's face, look at the turtle's face there and there. Oh, wow. It's pretty different. I have only opened the ash can once since I got it. I will have to open and do a little bit more of a dig comparison. I read it the first time.
Seawood has the answer on the chat.
Someone put in the comments of my review that it follows volume 1. I guess Karai is Shredder's daughter in that run and his granddaughter in the IDW run.
Okay, so that's
so you were right, but it's not following that continuity.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
There you
go.
Yeah, Alec really wants to get to the hero reveal here.
No, we don't have to talk about it.
No, I think we should definitely talk about it. I feel like we've covered plot, we've covered villain, we've covered artwork. I think to a degree. I think it's really the only thing left. So this is a perfect spoiler warning moment for people that don't want to know which turtle it is and want to bail on that. You can definitely duck out right now, and we're gonna go into it for the next about 10 minutes maybe, and then we'll move on to something different if we're feeling up for it.
It's Yertle.
Wow.
Sorry, I didn't give anyone enough time.
Give him a couple of seconds.
Yeah,
it's Baby Yoda all grown up.
Right. Seawood, I was lucky enough to, right near when Edwin passed, somebody was selling a few of them on Instagram, and I just went for it before they started getting stupid. I thought, you know what, I'm going to like having this. It's going to remind me of him, and that's why I sprung for it. And I'll tell you, I was very frustrated when I realized it wasn't actually an ash can size as I know them. It was it's enormous.
Right, because ash cans are usually small.
In my mind, they were small, so I was very frustrated with how big it was and having to figure out how the hell to store this damn thing. So there you go. This was definitely the spoiler warning time. I'll leave that up for the spoiler. How's that? Thank you, Biggie. So spoiler, this was Michelangelo, or at least that's what April calls him. They could certainly flip it on us in the second issue and have him say, "Dude, you can't tell us apart. What are you, racist?" But instead, for now, April says, "Who are you talking to?" Michelangelo, and speaks to him. So, the in her view, actually, she's able to recognize him as a specific turtle. What are your thoughts on that reveal, Alec?
I mean, from a selfish point of view, I wanted it to be Raphael because Raphael's the best.
And that's it.
I mean, yeah, like I said, Michelangelo to me was like the expected choice. Like he is the quote unquote popular turtle. He is the poster boy, even though Leo is the leader. Michelangelo, like at least when I was a kid, Michelangelo was the guy. Like
right.
So I mean, he's not like very Michelangelo-y. He's not like all goofy. Like he is definitely a darker turtle than any of them were before this. But I just felt that yeah, Boy God 7 said I thought Raphael was the cliche choice. Like I agree.
I'm just putting a couple of comments in the chat because I know there's some people. I had the same discussion with Andy about the comma, and I obviously I do teach a little grammar.
Is it? It's the first one, right? Who are you talking to, Michelangelo?
This is the quote in the book that she says.
Yes.
Who are you talking to, Michelangelo? Meaning there's a comma before you say the person's name and then the question mark. Versus some people are trying to read it this way, which is who are you talking to, Michelangelo? Like two different questions.
Yeah, if that is the case, it is grammatically incorrect in the book.
Right. This is actually correct grammar that says like she's asking him the question, right? Just like you would say, "Dear Alec, who are you talking to?"
Comma gate.
Comma gate, yeah. So but I had the same conversation with Andy, and I think I replied, "They're using the comma correctly." Comma.
I was being silly and nitpicking because do you want me to run into my
I'd love to hear your thoughts. Yeah.
Honestly, wholeheartedly going into this book, I wanted the Last Ronin to be Leonardo. I wanted him to carry the weight of the world and the weight of his family on him and be just this journey to be soul crushing, and for it to add that much more dark-esque pain and issues. And I thought it would have been maybe it's terrible to think like this, but I thought it would have been really interesting to see Leonardo go through this journey carrying that weight and how hard it would be.
Having said that, though, do you think that it's interesting that we now see Michelangelo carrying that weight and how much it's changed him?
Yeah, that is really good. And from the second page, this entire time we're nitpicking the weapons on the cover and all this other stuff. The first page, and by the second page, I'm like, it's Michelangelo. I don't see what I expect to be nunchucks carried on a regular basis. As you go from cutscene to cutscene to panel, you get some glimpses, and I think of what they're hitting on are the nunchucks, but my brain immediately goes to, well, that's not what they're supposed to look like, so it's definitely Michelangelo. And by default, I somehow got it right, even though Kevin Eastman was portraying, because if you get into about the middle of the book where he goes and he fights the Mousers, he pulls out those like prison guard batons.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was going to say that too.
Well, my brain immediately thought, well, there's my guarantee, because those were carried on his back this whole time, but they were actually the nunchucks being carried on his back. Somehow I just pseudo got it right at the beginning, so it was no surprise to me at the end because my brain had already written that story in my head. But yeah, I don't know. I like where you're going with this, Alec, and the depth that's there and the character development that's there, but I guess I kind of had a preconceived notion of how crazy it would be if it was Leonardo. But in the end, where they're going with it, hopefully, like, the more I think about it, the more I read into it, I'm wishing they would have waited longer to spoil this.
Yeah. And
there's a lot of great comments in the chat here, but yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Alec.
I honestly would have given it a higher rating because I enjoyed the act of reading it. Like page to page, I was having fun with it. But it's like, even though I said I'm glad they didn't spend a lot of time going over the world, I didn't need them to do that, but they really kind of threw us into his mission.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would have liked to see a bit more of him kind of struggling with his existence. Like maybe like whatever happened to the other turtles is haunting him more. I assume we'll get into that too, but we, I wanted a little bit more time with him before he set out on his mission. Like,
Sure.
Maybe like an issue of him trying to decide if he's going to do this, and kind of talking to the other turtles about the possibility of him kind of second guessing his ability to fulfill the mission and get revenge, and get a little bit of like hints about what happened through that. So I don't know. I would have liked just a little bit of a build up to this.
I love that everybody has their favorite turtle in this chat. Like everybody wanted somebody different. I thought this was kind of a fun little thing here. Let's see. Where's the Leonardo? Somebody else said I want a Leonardo too. I felt like a somewhat expected choice. There's a lot of fun kind of.
Issues has a really funny comment that just at the bottom of the chat.
At the bottom, this one right here. Wanted the whole book to be him in the sewer watching TV, surfing Pornhub, and eating Xanax.
Oh,
that way I could relate. I would say what it is definitely Michelangelo. Yeah. At least unless April's wrong, unless she can't tell turtles apart.
But I mean, if the Jones character, who Carter Lee said they missed the beginning, and did we talk about the girl with the purple hat being Casey's daughter? We did. The possibility of that. If she were the one who thought it was Michelangelo, I'd give that some credence. But it's April. She's known them for seemingly 50 years at this point. Like you know what your friends look like, even if they're turtles.
Oh, absolutely. Carter says, "Look out for issue 3." So I'm definitely going to get other issues. I'm assuming Andy is, right. And what about you, Alec? Are you going to get a follow up to this?
I mean, how long is the series?
5. That's it.
And $9 a piece.
And I got to figure out how to bag and board them.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I honestly, like, I want to read the whole series. The question of if I'm going to do it in single issues or if I'm going to do it in a trade is the question.
I like this comment too. See what I totally agree. That's cool.
I got it.
So it's honestly going to kind of come down to what that week looks like as far as what else I'm buying. If it's going to be a light week, I'll probably pick it up. If it's not a light week, I might pass.
Well, I mean, let's not joke. $8.99 is like 3 gallons of gas.
Dude,
I just filled up my car and it was $1.97 a gallon here.
4 gallons.
Yeah.
For me, it's like almost 3 comics. Like, I feel like
totally it is.
It's an expense. Honestly, that was one
unless
of my
you're buying 10 of Swords books.
One of my biggest gripes was the size versus cost. Like it was a hassle on the size, and the cost was extreme. I felt like if this had been, a regular sized book in a regular sized backing board or whatever, a regular size stock paper, and had been a lower price, I would have been a little happier, I think, on every level.
Yeah, even if it was $6.99 and the regular size, that is a double win as far as I'm concerned.
I would totally agree. Carter says, "I missed it." We did talk about Casey Jones's daughter, granddaughter, whatever
possibility. Yeah.
What issues again? This one? Do they have? Hey, I don't know. Size versus cost, hassle my life. Strip clubs in the Bronx.
I would imagine the next issues are going to be less than $8.99. I would think.
I wouldn't count on that.
Size. That's interesting. That'd be my question.
Oh my God, if they go to regular comic size after this, forget it. There's no way I'm buying the rest of the series.
What? So if they go to a normal size book from here on out, you're out.
So that means one of two things. I either need to put them in 2 different boxes or put them together and have one really tall comic in a box.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. You're right. Yeah, they don't even fit in a normal size box.
Yeah, forget that noise.
Oh, my God. There's how many? There's 5? Is that what Andy said? 5 issues?
Yeah.
I'm hearing 5, yeah.
Okay.
I get it if you said they're all the same price and size.
Okay, there you go. So yeah, I'm definitely in for future issues. I'm gonna have to buy more, I don't know, magazine size bags and boards just to make it work. I do want to know kind of where this goes and how it plays out. And the art, like Andy said, is good enough. I doubt further issues are going to be as action focused. So my assumption is, some of the issues I was having with spatial awareness in within panels might be limited versus this one that's like door to door action is probably a bit of an outlier in that way.
And like I said, I enjoyed reading this, so I do want to read the rest of the series. It's just a question of how I'm going to read it.
Right. Yeah.
So if they do like a nice oversized hardcover, that I'm fine with. That'll look nice on my shelf.
Based on the size, sounds like an interesting book, but not a $20 one. I would not. I mean,
I would say if you missed out on the first issue and can't track one down, and you're only interested in reading it, I would wait for the trade. If you're interested in having it as part of your collection, as a Turtle fan or as an indie comic fan or whatever the case may be, and you want the single issue, and this is something that could theoretically keep going up. I don't think $20 is going to be like a huge hit, even if it goes back down to cover price, because like you said, it is $9. So if you just want to read it, I would say at this point, wait for the trade. If you want it for your collection, pick it up for $20.
And I can't remember who was on with, I think it was two brothers talking about, I think it was one of his LCS owners was talking about how December 2nd, they do second prints of volume. And it's possible that those will be like harder to find
because they'll be shorter print.
So you could wait and buy a second print along with issue 2 and read them both at that point as an option as well. So that could be a solution as well, and it could have some real fun cover art if they're out and fully open with the fact that this is the turtle that we assume that it is,
or it could just be the same cover with a second print.
God, I would suck, but I mean, I would hope that they do something fun with a second print cover after screwing a lot of LCSs this week. I would hope that they come back.
But if you're going that route, I would definitely have your LCS pre-order for you.
Yeah, tell them that you want it for sure, way before FOC.
So I think you can find a preview of the second print cover on eBay. It might not be 100% accurate. I'm digging deeper yet. And I think FOC for the second print was this past Monday. So I think it came and went before issue 1 dropped.
Oh, wow.
Like I called my LCS when I ordered this out of the previews magazine when I first saw it. I said all covers, all copies, all issues. Put me down for everything.
Oh damn! FOC passed on the second print already.
You're right.
Crazy. Right. How? Don't get me started on that.
I don't know the timing on this stuff. I can't figure it out. It's like lightning striking.
But like second prints used to be because the first print did so well that they had to then reprint it so people could, like, if there's already an FOC gone by the time the first issue comes out, that means they had planned it before the FOC of the first book.
Yeah. But I do hear that IDW prints all their stuff in Asia, and that's a big part of the reason why they have issues sometimes is because they're not always sure when their books will arrive to their.
Yeah, but Boom does it too all the time.
Their distributors in the U.S., which then
Boom has like third prints announced before first prints are out.
What if
change? Good to see you, CVS. I don't know that we're going to get to Giga tonight. I feel like this has been a great conversation. I will say I'm happy to give a score to Giga, which I would say I'd give like an 8 to. I thought it was a very interesting idea, and I kind of dug the universe. So if you're looking for a vault number 1, I actually kind of enjoyed Giga. It wasn't like a grand slam, but I know that Alec was like not in the mood, not having it.
It was a DNF for me. Did not finish.
And Andy read it.
I read it. I actually enjoyed it. And I was shocked when you said it was a vault book. I got it on Comixology and didn't even look at the cover that much. It's like Vault took a play right out of Image's playbook with number ones and boot in a series and something fun. The art was a little deceiving. Then all of a sudden, there's a lot of adult themed stuff happening. I'm like, holy cow! Okay,
Yeah.
I'm actually looking forward to reading issue 2.
Yeah, I'm very curious for an issue 2, and I do like the concept, which I've never. It's incredibly original. Like I don't feel like I've seen anything quite like it before. I do like the characters a bunch. So if you're looking for an indie and you're unable to find your TMNT and looking for something to pick up, GIGA, my LCS had a ton, including this fun Marvel. What is it? What's the homage?
I thought it was Shogun Warriors, and he thought it was ROM.
No, it is Shogun Warriors because I think they even say it in the letter at the back.
Okay. And I mean, to be fair to Giga, like the reason I did not finish it is because I was trying to read it fairly quickly, because I was running low on time before the other show started, and it is a fairly dense read. So I'm probably going to try to sit back down with it when I have a little bit more time to actually let it sink in. And I got issue said, FYI, you can still pre-order the second print on TFA for $7.19 in case anyone is curious.
Yeah, things from another world.
Oh. Definitely thinking a lot about him reading this. So
for sure, yeah.
So I guess that kind of wraps up our show tonight. Alec, you got D&D coming up on your channel on Sunday?
Yeah, D&D on Sunday, aka Everybody Dies.
High probability. But you kind of say that every week, I'm just going to say.
Yeah, but that's usually just to scare you guys. This time, not only did I specifically have a character tell you not to do the thing you did, and you did it anyway, you took no precautions before doing it.
As a parent, this sounds like my everyday.
There it is. She says you've been saying that for 13 episodes.
I mean, that's fair.
But this time it's just going to pay off, folks.
Somebody's going to die. I'll make sure of it.
Bloodbath.
I mean, one person has already died. That was their own doing.
He's a legitimate ghost now. It's just a fact. Comic Man Andy, you did a live stream dropping your reviews for your books you picked up today, and people can go to your channel, which is linked down below. But what else you got coming up, man?
Oh, I got live streams on Mondays and Wednesdays. I try to keep them to 15, 20 minutes around everybody's lunch break on the East Coast. They can come hang out, and I can get my fix of talking comic books with the community. But yeah, you guys can find me on the Comic Core Monday nights with Modern Men. We're looking forward to reading Immortal Hulk this upcoming Monday. That's going to be a blast. You guys can find me every Wednesday night on the Comic Core as well with these guys. And yeah, the Pinky's Out podcast on all your favorite podcasting devices and my own little channel, like I said earlier. Yeah.
Nice. Tomorrow I'm dropping my only weekly edited video I've started doing the last month here. So the pull list drops tomorrow. You can see what I'm picking up next week. It's another somewhat lighter week, but a bunch of good indies to look over. So that happens at just before 7:00 Eastern. That video goes live premiere. So if you've clicked the notification bell, you will get the warning that live premiere is happening, and then you can be there hanging out and talking while we look at next week's books. And then I'm on the Boy Who Had Seven's channel. There he is in the chat. On Friday night, doing Comic Gory's Halloween special. A bunch of great celebrity guests coming on to battle one another to find who is the best Halloween champ. So thank you for coming by and checking that out as well. Other than that, I think pretty light, chill weekend, except for dying on Sunday night. That's about it. People talking about Batman 3 Jokers and liking the ending. I know there's a bunch of debate on that. Some people saying they loved it, others saying they need to read it again. They don't quite understand it. They need to read it yet,
but I did pick it up.
Lots of interesting comments happening out there, and I think I'll definitely do what Seawood's going to do and probably read it in trade. He says more people will give it a shot in trade. I read the first issue on book club, and I haven't gone back since. Hello, you're saying is that sarcasm? I'm assuming. So we're out of here. Thanks everybody for coming by, and we will be back next week on his channel. I have no clue what we'll be reading, but if you watch the pull list, I'll probably highlight a couple of indies.
Sometimes during the show, I have no idea what we're reading.
Sometimes you just black out. And what was I saying? I was crapping on a book. Right?
Dumpster fire.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.